I think we're going to do just quick introductions, just so we know who's on the Zoom here. Lucas, do you want to start, and we'll just kind of go around?
Sure, I'd be happy to start. My name is Lucas Chaffee. I'm in Greenberg, so close to the river towns, and I'm working on helping local businesses do flash sales and experimenting what they're doing within Asia for online sales over Zoom. So it's a experimental fun phase right now, and happy to be here. Over to Danielle.
Awesome. Thanks, Lucas. Hi, everyone. I'm Danielle. I own Main Street Business Strategies. It's a marketing practice for small and medium-sized businesses. I have clients across, the Hudson Valley, but most in the river towns. And I'll pass it over to Kamran.
Hello, thank you. My name is Kamran Saliani. I'm a lifelong Irvington resident, and I run the Irvington Shakespeare Company. And my mission is to spread Shakespeare to Irvington and the river towns in Westchester, because I believe in this crazy moment in time, he's the best playwright to find catharsis and reflection. And it's super important for us to have professional community-based art. So that is, it's a little bit about me. I don't see anyone else because I'm on the phone Zoom. So whoever is next, go for it.
I can take it. I'm Larry Schopfer. I'm the village administrator here in Irvington. Happy to join. Happy to answer any questions you might have, and interested to hear what's going on.
Terrific.
Okay. Sorry.
No, go, Dina. Go.
I'm Dina Fleischman. I'm in Hastings, and I'm the vice president and also treasurer for now of the River Towns Chamber of Commerce. My business is I import gourmet foods from Greece to the States.
Nice.
That's.
Oh yeah, I guess that leaves me.
That's you.
I'm Vance Long. I'm the new president of the chamber. I am in Dobbs Ferry right now. I'm a executive privacy and digital security consultant. We work with everyone from executives to municipalities on digital hygiene and implementing cybersecurity fundamentals. I also do pro bono work with the Domestic Violence Task Force here in Westchester County to provide the same services we do to executives to domestic violence survivors and help support law enforcement in those cases.
Awesome. And I'm Stacy Chiravella. I'm the village rep for the Rivertown Chambers. My company is Community Living Media, the publisher of a magazine called Stroll Chappaqua. It's a hyperlocal publication specifically concentrated in Chappaqua in Westchester. I help businesses access the community through a media platform.
Great.
I don't know if we have a complete agenda, but I think we're going to open it up to some of the things that may be important to Irvington, and then how that parlays into the larger River Towns Chamber and how we can support and hear what some of the ideas are for the village. I know when Leslie was on, we were talking about the river market?
Rivertown Public Market.
Rivertown Public Market. I don't know enough about that. Maybe Dina, do you or Vance, do you want to share a little bit about what that is and what Irvington's involvement with that might be?
Well, yeah, I think the first thing I start off with I'm glad everybody came today to the village chat, because this is our kind of new format is having the village representatives here and letting them have a direct line to the businesses and vice versa. So they can ask questions directly of us. We can have a pipeline, open that communication to work closer together. The Rivertown's Public Market's kind of an example of what we're trying to do moving forward and bringing in people to the river towns to see what's so great about it. We had that event here in Dobbs Ferry pre-pandemic several times, and it was very successful. At the park, we brought in different vendors, and it's an afternoon and early evening usually of a lot of time, and people coming in to see the villages for what we have to offer, which is quite a bit. Michelle actually has a lot more detail about it. We were at the trustee meeting last night where she spoke again, just kind of opening that relationship with the villages and trying to really build a stronger relationship between Irvington and the chamber, and how we can support the village with the voice of businesses here. So that's really one of the first salvos that we're doing, is to shift that up to Irvington, hopefully, and draw more people into the village itself to see what Irvington's all about.
I think it's set for, I think are we shooting for June, Vince? Is that right?
There's
Yeah.
still discussion. As we said in the trustee meeting, there's the Parks Department's having a say, and there's some questions from the village that they're getting together to ask us about it. This is really a new relationship for both of us. They're still trying to figure out how we work, and we're trying to be supportive with them and do, provide what we can to support the economic growth in the village and to promote the businesses that are there. And I think this is it's gonna, June is what is the target that we've proposed. There's still some discussion going on with the village, and there's going to be some more discussion going forward. So,
yeah, and I think I would say there was some pushback last night for sure.
yeah.
But what I would say is that the pushback is more short term rather than long term. I think from a short term standpoint, given that it's a brand new event, and our calendar, so to speak, is full, in the sense of there's a lot going on in that time range of early June, with our commitment to hold graduation in the park and a whole series of other things without going into all the details. So that's really where the pushback is. I think from a long-term standpoint, it's a positive, and it can be a positive, with the proper amount of time to plan for it and to make sure that we fully understand the magnitude of it, make sure the target doesn't keep moving, and just everyone focuses on what the event is, and I think we would welcome having that type of activity here. Again, in the long term, I just think in the short term, it was a tough one, and that's where the pushback came from.
Yeah.
I think the Parks Department that said it themselves, that if you were planning this event for October or June of 24, we'd be I think we'd be right in there, and it would have been a different response. June of 23 is harder for us at this point, so that's really, if I could do a little damage control from last night, that's what I would say.
Okay, so then we still have, I'm sorry, Vince, go ahead.
Oh, I felt very, there was pushback, but I felt very positive about the conversation last night. I felt very positive about the long-term aspect. I also look at the chamber building a long-term relationship with the village as working together to help with the businesses. So I felt really positive with the conversation last night, even with the pushback on the timeline and things of that nature. That's just the nature of events and event planning.
Right.
And a new relationship with a relationship where we haven't done events with Irvington in the past, and we're still feeling each other out and learning how the village needs to have things done, and how professional we are with event planning. That's just a relationship that's going to have to grow.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a fair statement for sure.
I think pushing it out to the fall, I mean, I'll talk to Michelle, because I know she's much more enmeshed in this, but that just gives us even more time to make sure that we get the right vendors, interested in giving us enough time to put the word out. June is doable, I think, but it probably was tight for us too. But I'll see, I'll talk to Michelle about that. She was, I wasn't involved with the chamber as much when the last RPW was, the market was done. I think the last time was in the fall of 2019. I think it was right before lockdown. So I had just come into the chamber as a more active member, so I wasn't really as involved, but I know it was a very well received and successful event. I think we can make it even better with enough time to plan, and with we have the template now. We've done it a couple of times. We're not reinventing everything, so I think we can move forward. It's just exciting to get it to be opened up again and be able to do these things, and the getting the vendors into the right vendors and the right timing, but that also brings foot traffic to the village at large. It's not just a destination. We don't want to make it's just for that. It's for the entire community to be involved.
Right.
I had a conversation with Michelle about that last night after the meeting was over when we stepped outside. And one of the things that I kind of referred to is, you know, when we talk about the events and bringing people into the river towns, we are targeting a specific type of person that we're bringing in, the people that are going to spend money in the businesses, and are a dynamic there. You know, we talk with, like, you see the federal government talking about the jobs market. We created 300,000 jobs last year. That's nice, or last month, but what type of jobs did you create? When we look at that event, the vendors are very key because we want to bring people who are going to return multiple times. You know, I also personally haven't spent a lot of time with the park and stuff in Irvington, so I haven't had a chance to see it. I'm looking forward to doing that. Because I've been to Dobbs and I've been to the park at Hastings. I haven't actually been to the park down at Irvington, which I've
Nice.
kind of, yeah. So I'm looking forward to those things, and I think a really well planned, really well sought out event that becomes a draw. Having worked at events across the country, you know, I was in Austin for years. I did South by Southwest for 30 years. From the very beginning. I worked in New Orleans and did Mardi Gras, and I've seen how ACL adapted in Austin to become a really amazing event that's done outdoors in the park. And you know, people put it on their calendar a year before. Oh, we're going to be here this day. You know, doesn't necessarily have to be a grandiose event for people to say, oh no, mark that out for next year, we're going back. You know, or hey, I had so much fun, let's run back up on a weekend when there's not an event going on and see how the village is just when it's quiet, and maybe not so many people are there. And that's really, I think, the focus for the event is that long-term draw for people. Oh, I had a great time there.
Yeah. And I think the chamber is important in that sense of keeping the momentum and keeping, you know, once the event is over, it's not just forgotten. You know, we continue to promote, we continue to send out as much on social media, our newsletters, and get as many people to sign up to that as we can. We have a good, solid staff now at the chamber that is able to handle these events. A lot of the volunteer members have been fantastic, and you know, lending their expertise. I think we're in a really good spot. I feel strong about it.
Question for Larry. Larry, as you know, the person that's here in Irvington, is there a way to engage with the businesses that are here? I've been to town hall, I've talked to different people. There doesn't seem to be a database or a list of the actual businesses that are in Irvington. Do you happen to know how to best navigate that?
Right. So I think I joined a meeting back in December, and I don't remember which of you were on that call, but one of the things I brought up at that point is that, you know, we've been kind of at a deficit here for years with not having a truly functioning chamber of commerce. You know, you all obviously moved in to kind of fill a void that was left by a chamber that went defunct. I mean, I don't know I can't tell you the inner workings of what happened, but it just never was a truly active and vibrant chamber, at least for many years anyway. Maybe in my first years here, it might have been, but certainly not for the last 10 at least. So from our standpoint, you know, we welcome an entity to come in and have that engagement with our businesses. It's true, there is no real, you know, formal database. I mean, I can dig through some files here and, you know, tell you the last time we had, you know, some village-wide issue or downtown issue like parking regulations or some discussion where we engaged with the businesses. And, you know, of course, at that time, we would have done research to do outreach to them to make sure they were involved in the discussion. But, you know, those are pre-pandemic and we're probably a bit out of date. And, you know, but that being said, we would be more than happy to stand with you and work with you to create that database so that you can go to work on it and do what you do. You know what I mean? And whether it means hosting something, whether it means us, you know, pounding the pavement to try to really, you know, dig out names and contact information and, you know, to get that to you and to, you know, to create some sort of an event. to create engagement, we're totally willing, and look, it's self-serving. I want an organization to be more engaged with our businesses. So we're happy to help you get that off the ground, whatever that is, and I know I'm speaking on behalf of the trustees because they certainly feel the same way. So anyway,
Okay.
so you tell me what you need and we'll be happy to help you. How's that?
I have just one question. When a business decides they're going to be in Irvington, not the ones that are already here, but when they decide that, they're going to rent space and, come into town, is there building codes formats? Like, where does that happen? Like, I would think initially we would get the database going from the people that are coming into Irvington.
Sure. Yeah, well, so the answer to that is yes, sort of. So, the only reason that they would make contact with the building department is if they're obviously making modifications to the space or if it's a change of use. But for example, if there was a deli on Main Street and they sold the deli to someone else and they continue to run it as a deli, there's no building department activity.
Right.
Same with like office space. So if there's no real change of use of that space, then there's really no trigger that brings them to the building department. So it's a useful place to start, but it's not the 100% airtight way of identifying businesses.
Okay.
Yeah.
This seems to be an issue I've been to the chats in all 4 villages now, and it seems to be an issue in every village about determining who, some of the villages are like, well, we've just walked Main Street and see who's there, and that's kind of how we do it.
It's pretty belts and suspenders. That's probably what it is, and I mean, yeah.
And one of the things that we've talked about too is we're seeing as a chamber, one of the things that we're trying to represent is both these brick and mortar businesses and the remote, more entrepreneurial businesses. So there may be a way to sit down, as one of the things that when I came to this part of my businesses, we did a lot of OSIN investigation, and there may be a way to do LLC searches to see what are listed in Irvington or Dobbs Ferry, or where we can see filings and say, oh, this new LLC was filed in Irvington. There, it's this business. There's usually contact information with that. There may be a way to sit down with the villages and do that type of search and just compile a list of all of the business filings from that village area. It may not be obviously not going to be 100% accurate, but it may give us a really good list just in general to see who's operating in that area, both brick and mortar and remotely.
Right. Yeah, it's one of those areas where we've never really come up with a solution that isn't over the top labor intensive. I mean, we've got 1,000 other things to do around here. So it's,
exactly.
If I had a full-time person spending all their time devoted to tracking businesses, sure, I'd have a good database, but that's not happening. So, but I think you can get pretty far along and get the word out. And look, on the other side, my observation from the past, and you may have heard this on the last time I talked, my observation is that, the businesses here are going to be skeptical of involvement with a chamber because I don't think they had really much value from previous iterations, not your entity, obviously, but previous. And, it's going to take, there's going to be a learning curve to that and a trust curve that's going to have to develop. And so it's not going to be, well, here's information about the chamber. And of course, I'm just going to join the chamber because I'm a business. I think, a lot of them are going to be hesitant about, well, okay, what are my dues going for and what am I getting out of it? I'm just telling you that as a heads up, maybe you know that already. I don't know, but my sense.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's been something that we've been working on very carefully, especially coming into this year, to make sure that we have a nice, concise, easy to understand packet of member benefits that we can refer to, whether it's existing businesses that are members or new businesses that might be wanting to join. And so it's not so vague, like, well, it's good for you. It's of course you should join. And no, it's very specific. Like, these are the options, whether they're free, a lot of them are free, or for a nominal fee, you get the access that the chamber is building in the background to get your name out there to the general public where you want to be.
I think that's true too. We also recognize during our membership drive that just as a first year business, I need certain benefits. As a third or fourth year business, my benefits needs change as my business changes, and trying to develop those benefits to meet a diverse need of both brick and mortar, growing businesses, new businesses. You know, that's a challenge, and to address that point about people being skeptical, you know, we understand we're going to have to build that relationship. We also understand that you're going to justify, oh, I was a member last year, what's my benefit going to be of being a member next year? You know, that can be kind of an ongoing conversation, and I believe, and we are prepared to have that conversation with the businesses, and quite frankly, we're prepared to earn that trust and show them why.
And look, we can help facilitate the two sides coming together. If it means hosting something or outreach from our standpoint, we're happy to help with all of that, because we know, this has been I guess I would say a sore point. Maybe that's a little too strong, but it's been a sore point over the years where we haven't had that direct connection with the businesses for a very long time, without it being so labor intensive. We want to be able to go to a thriving entity like yours that represents many of the businesses here in Irvington and come to you with issues, or with events that we want to run, or with whatever it is, and we just want that two-way dialogue, and it's not there right now. So it's in our best interest to try to make it happen. So whatever you need, as I said before, whatever you need, if you're the marketing people, I'm not an economic development person. I'll be the first one to admit. So.
But I appreciate that. That's not that there's a lot of pushback in other villages just saying, oh, we're doing it what we want. I think the other thing is, as a resource, when the villages, hey, this is what we're looking at doing, we like you're saying, we need a direct line to the businesses to say, what is the thoughts on this? What is the input, as opposed to, that's another thing that helps with these village chats, maybe even a less formally than a trustee meeting. If we're in here having a conversation with the villages in Irvington, we get a feel before we go to the trustee meeting and have a lot of public conversation about it. It helps you guys as a support mechanism for, oh, this is the next thing we're trying to do. We've talked to these businesses. This is what they say. Let's see if we have any other. Yeah, it helps streamline the process.
Right. Yep. And look, over time, what I want to do is, look, I mean, Arlene has been the most vocal about, engaging with downtown businesses and helping that area. Now, she was supposed to jump on today. She happens to be on a business trip that took her out of the country. So she still was planning on jumping on, but looks like it didn't work out. But I know that there's going to be engagement from our board. It's not just going to be me. I don't direct the policy in this place. I carry out what their policies are. So I just happen to have a sense for, how they feel about things and how I've felt about things over the years. But anyway, there will be more involvement from the board, I assure you. And I think it's a good venue like this.
And we will, as you notice, we are recording the meetings now so that we can throw them up on the website, and folks who aren't able to come and join us, they'll be able to go back and review what we talked about. It'll be somewhat edited, obviously, but yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Good.
So yeah, we have work to do.
Do we have any other questions?
Larry, I have one question for you.
Yeah.
This is kind of a blue sky thinking, but I've got a dream that all the board, the people who are bored at their desk jobs working from home in northern New Jersey and in several of the boroughs, maybe also over in Connecticut, they want to daydream Tuesdays at noon. And they're like, oh, you know what? I don't really enjoy my job. Let me start planning my weekend. And I think it'd be really neat if they can go online and browse a village in the Hudson Valley, and maybe 10 of your businesses, maybe some of the other things that make Irvington special, not just businesses, but the government and maybe some civic groups that have events going on, or Rivertown Public Market. They each have their own Zoom meeting. And then these board office workers in northern New Jersey, they're like, oh, I could do a virtual tour of Irvington and sort of in a farmer's market style event, just pop, 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 drop into that Mexican restaurant, that Indian restaurant, and see live, like, there's the chef preparing lunch, do a quick chat, and just get excited about all that Irvington has to offer. So it's a vague idea, and I've been running it by Danielle with her expertise too. And I think there's something there, but I'm wondering from your perspective, if you think there might be some potential there.
I mean, look, that's a marketing idea that's beyond probably my expertise, but it sounds pretty interesting, I have to say. How you'd actually execute on it, it sounds also pretty complicated, but in terms of coordination. But listen, I think it's great. We've had kind of long-term desires here to really we would love to have a website or whatever platform it happens to be, focused on telling visitors what they can do when they're here. And we have limitations as far as where we can go in terms of promoting businesses, for example, but we certainly can promote what can be what amenities we have in terms of our parks and historic sites and you name it. So I mean, we'd love to get more involved in that part of it. I don't know that goes towards what your idea was, but the two could be melded. I mean, I don't see why not.
Makes a lot of sense.
Idea.
If we recorded those, and they're like 3-minute clips, 5-minute clips that the businesses are putting online, and our chamber can provide for your village this repository of all these videos where people could just check out at any time, and be interested in helping to make that happen.
And we would make sure that we can direct people to those, get people funneled the right way who are interested in that way to be able to see that. Sure, we'd love to do that.
I think we've worked at a couple of things just with the past, not quite that extreme yet, but like going through with the Visit Westchester website and updating the businesses in Irvington that are there. Currently working with the Best of Westchester to get help our member businesses get listed in their categories to potentially become a finalist or win that way. Those are some of those benefits as well that go to those businesses. Is I don't have time to deal with Best of. I want to be on the list, but I don't have time to do it. But if I'm a member of the chamber and they're all getting submitted from Irvington simultaneously to our contact there, that's one of those benefits that happens with some of those businesses. And then you start to get more attention. So even if I can be kind of a small baseball person. We hit base hits, and we are not necessarily looking for the grandiose home run. We want to make a bunch of small changes to help benefit those businesses. And that long-term growth is because that's really what you guys are looking for, is long-term sustainable, business and growth for the village and prosperity for the village, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we don't like to see turnover on Main Street, and when there is turnover, we want to see it, filled back up again quickly. And I mean, our building department, is very keen on applications that come in from Main Street businesses, particularly, or the Main Street area, and they don't sit on a pile for weeks. You know what I'm saying? They're at the top. So we really are trying to turn things over. If there is turnover, we try to move them quickly. So for sure. Anything else? I'm happy to stay.
I know you've got a busy day, so if there's not a lot of other questions,
I just have one thing to say. Yeah, I just wanted to say one quick thing. Larry is like incredibly respected here in Irvington, and thank you, Larry, for everything you do. When I started, like, everyone talked about Larry, and it's like,
well, I don't know about that, but thank you.
Thank you for everything. Yeah, and I just wanted to bring up a point that, like, the arts in the river towns, and a group that I talk to, and we feel there's a difficulty with working with Irvington at times, with especially Parks and Rec. We feel a level of like hostility at times towards us as arts and organizations, and that we're we might be invited, but then the way that we're sort of treated and the way that we are engaged, it can get really complicated and tricky, and we feel we don't feel welcome to work in Irvington. So I just want to bring that up, and I'm happy to have a further conversation about it down the road. But I just wanted to bring that to the attention that there's a sense of like hostility at times towards us as arts organizations, and it's unfortunate, but I think it can be smoothed out and fixed, because there's wonderful people working in Irvington like yourself, Larry. I just wanted to mention that, especially when I hear events and things like that. I think about, oh, it'd be great if we had an arts organization come in, do this, do that, me, someone else, blah blah blah. But there's a hesitancy, I think, at times, when it comes to events and certain things that will meet a level of pushback that will eventually make us just go elsewhere. Yeah, happy to have a conversation about that further in the specifics of arts. But I just wanted to throw that out there. That's it.
One thing I will say, and I'm not going to, sit here and make excuses, but one thing I will say is that it's not the level of hesitancy that you might be sensing isn't just directed at the arts, and where it comes from. Again, right or wrong, where it comes from is an overwhelming sense of protectiveness of our facilities and the assets that we have. I think that we are always concerned about keeping what we have properly maintained and protected, and we don't ever want to be in a position of just saying, okay, here we are, here's our facility, use it however you want. I mean, we're watching closely, and that's probably off-putting in some cases, and so that's an area we can work on. But I think that's where it comes from, that what we have is very well maintained and we want to keep it that way, and it's very expensive to do it. So it's, there's a dynamic there. So anyway, I'm not going to make any more excuses for that, but certainly there's things to work on if that's coming off as being off-putting. I don't disagree that is probably happening. I'm not denying it, but something we can work on.
I think
Yeah, totally.
that's,
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yep.
I think that's everybody's, kind of protective of things. And having worked in a lot of cities with a lot of different parks, with some very historical parks and some areas with some very sensitive environmental issues in parks. We've worked in events where we weren't even allowed to put runoff water from vendors that had to be packed out. So I've seen a lot of park protection and things of that nature. I think the other thing too is, we're building that relationship. We're gonna work on them, the village understanding how we work, us understanding what the village requirements are, and that kind of coming together to do stuff. I think the other thing too that the chamber provides that we were talking about earlier was the businesses, the brick and mortar. And one of the things that we weren't talking about is that we have members that are the nonprofit organizations from the arts and other aspects, and that's going to give village trustees a different voice, as opposed to, I'm not necessarily here to make money. We are here to make a better village, to make a better community, to bring that in. I think that's another thing that the chamber will help with too, is it's not just the voice of business that's coming from us, it's just community members in general.
Sure.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we have a jewel here on Main Street in our town hall theater, and we know that. Obviously it's still closed right now, but it's it's a vibrant and can be a vibrant location, and so it will be in the future. So we're getting there.
Great.
Awesome. Well,
Thank you.
thank
Thank
you
you,
so much,
Stacy.
everybody, for taking the time this morning.
Yeah, thank you, Larry. It was nice to see everybody here. Thanks
Yeah,
for
thanks.
listening.
I appreciate being able to jump on, and I'll definitely report back to Arlene on this, and we'll be active in the future for sure.
And just not with just the public market, with any other questions that they have for us at the chamber, please feel free to reach out about processes, anything that when you guys question something or have a question about how we're doing something, please feel free to reach out to us at any time and ask. You know, we always have an open line of communication too. That's the whole point of that relationship. So
Great.
let us know.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, if there's if you decide that you really want to dig in and try to, you know, make a connection with businesses here, whether it's just helping to develop a list, you know, designate someone to meet with me. I'm happy to work with them. I have, you know, my staff here that can help out, and, you know, just let me know what to do.
Great, thank you.
All right.
Definitely will.
I appreciate it.
Good. All right. Well, thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
Y'all have a great weekend,
Same.
everybody.
Thanks,
All
guys.
right.
Bye.
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 Everyone.